This is Dan Lawson with the Alliance for American Manufacturing out in Rumford, Maine at the NewPage mill. Today I'm talking to Pete Theriault, who's the HR manager here. Pete, how long have you been associated with the mill here?
I've worked here for about 2.5 years in my current role as HR manager. I left the mill for about 5 years, but prior to that I was here for 14 years working in various capacities across the mill.
Now, Pete, you've seen through all this market-related downtime the mills had to take. How has it affected the people that were getting laid off and the people that weren't? Did it have an impact on them also?
It did. It was devastating for a lot of folks because it was traumatic. They didn't understand or know what was going to happen with their jobs, when they were going to be called back, if they were going to be called back. Quite frankly, the folks that had to go out and were on layoff and were receiving unemployment compensation, really no substitute for the wages that they make here at the mill.
Now, did you see it have an overall impact on the community?
I did, in a number of different ways. I think there was just a lot of uncertainty about what was happening and how long it was going to last, and I think there was a lot of anxiety from folks that were being laid off, questions about health insurance, how they're going to pay their bills, and really had a ripple effect throughout the community.
Now, when you look at the Rumford mill here, they're the biggest employer in the town, and also the county. If something was to happen to this mill, what would the everyday worker, what would they have to do to find meaningful work?
Well, I think there's no question that they'd have to travel, or they would have to uproot their families and go to some other area to live. This is, like you said, the biggest employer. There's a lot of money paid out in wages that support a lot of businesses in town and surrounding communities, and I think it would be quite devastating to the area if we lost this facility.
And when you look at that, especially to the town itself, the tax base would be eroded. What would that do to all the programs, the schools? How would that have a major effect?
Well, as you probably know, a large part of the tax base does come from the mill, and it supports a lot of programs within our schools and municipalities. And I think it would be very difficult on the folks living in this area to support these the municipalities and the schools without this tax base. And I think what would happen is we would see, like I've got a couple of boys that play sports. I think you would see a number of cutbacks in a lot of areas to kind of compensate for that. I think it would be really tough on the older folks living in the town too, as far as trying to pay their taxes.
Now, talking to a lot of people in town, I've spent some time with the food cupboards and the Green Church for one. They expressed how the mill employees, both management and hourly, the amounts that they donate to help people that are less fortunate. And also, like the United Way has even stated that 10% of their overall funding comes from this mill here for this area. And when you look at what possibly could happen, the overall effect is even larger than what everybody imagines because of the rippling out. But what do you see that the community has to get behind what we're trying to do here?
Yeah, I think it's critical that we get behind this initiative, because really for us to be on a level playing field, and we'll say this again and again, that we feel like we have very good workers here, we have decent equipment, we can certainly compete with anyone in the world when we're on a level playing field, but to have these countries subsidizing and really assisting their manufacturers, to export paper into our country. It certainly hurts us here, and it's not right.
Well, Pete, I really thank you for taking time out of your day to come and talk with us. And let me just ask you one final question. Mm-hmm. If you were at that hearing where the determination is going to be made, is there anything you'd like to say to the powers to be to try to sway them one way or the other?
Well, I think the biggest thing was that we're not looking for special treatment or any favorable treatment. We're looking for a level playing field, and we're willing to compete on that playing field, but it needs to be levelized.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, Pete.
Alrighty.
Thank you.